Having a bye in the 12-team playoff has been a silent killer, as every single holder of a bye, the top four seeds, were defeated in the round of 8 in the playoff, and the last of which to do so was the 2 seed Georgia, whom we will be talking about today. In today's video, I give my honest opinion and instant reaction to Notre Dame taking down the Georgia Bulldogs 23-10. Before we get started, prayers and condolences out to the families of the terrorist attack in New Orleans, which bumped this game from New Year's Day to the 2nd of January, which is today. Also, this will be the final video before the rebrand of my channel, just making you aware of that. Also, we have a ton of content coming out all winter long, so stay locked in here and subscribe, as it is the best and most efficient way to support the channel. Liking the video would help out a ton, as it gets this video into the algorithm for more college football fans. Lastly, comment for me right now what your reaction to this game is. With all of that being said, let's dive right into this instant reaction of the Sugar Bowl. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about this game that Notre Dame won 23-10 again against Georgia. Let's talk about Georgia for a second. I have said this to my friends. I have said this on Twitter. Go follow me at Big Ten Quick Talk, although that will change via the rebrand very soon. So, again, keep an eye out for that. I have said it in my preview to this game, which is still out there on YouTube. Go find that. I'm backing up 100% what I said. Gunnar Stockton is not the guy he has been talked up to be. Everyone had him as this great quarterback, this great backup that honestly is probably going to play better than Carson Beck, all this different stuff, and I just never bought into it. He is a young, inexperienced quarterback. He is a dual threat guy that doesn't really run the ball that well. His trait is that he is a dual threat guy, and he does not run the ball that well against good defenses. We saw that in the SEC championship game. I pointed that out. I got flack for it. Turns out I was right. When he plays a good defense, he's not a good runner, and that's like his main thing. So he was forced to pass all game, and sure enough, it didn't really end well for him. He was very inaccurate. He threw for 235 yards, which is about average. He threw one touchdown, did not throw an interception. His QBR was very below average at 50. So Gunnar Stockton, I was right about him, and I repeat, he is not the guy he was talked up to be. So I'll take a little praise in that one, as you know, it cancels out with me picking Oregon to win against Ohio State. Georgia really should have dominated in the trenches, but they didn't. They had the size advantage both on the defensive line and the offensive line, and they still didn't win it, which is confusing to me. I thought that they would win the line of scrimmage. I don't think they would. Going into the game, I did not think that they would dominate the line of scrimmage, but I thought that they would win it. And Notre Dame won the line of scrimmage. Don't get me wrong; they won the line of scrimmage. They were getting pressure in on Gunnar Stockton. That was also part of the reason there was a lot of pressure in his face. You can blame the offensive line for that, for a lot of it, because the offensive line did not block very well in this game at all. The defensive line, they sent in a lot of guys, and Riley Leonard, after he settled into the game, seemed to find running lanes in the pocket. And that's just undisciplined coaching and undisciplined gap integrity from Georgia. So that's another thing. Let's talk about Notre Dame for a second. This was a signature win for Notre Dame. This is the first signature win that they've had in a very long time. This is their first really signature playoff win, too, because they haven't had a signature playoff win yet. I don't count Indiana, because that wasn't signature. But you go out and beat the best program in college football, and Marcus Freeman and co. out-coached really the best program in college football, and it's not really even close. Georgia's been the best program in college football for the last 5 years, and they went out and they did it. So, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due. Marcus Freeman pulled out a little trickery late in the game and converted that fourth down, got Georgia to jump off sides. In turn, that ate up about 5 minutes of clock and gave Georgia no time left to mount any sort of comeback. Everyone saw it that watched. Al Golden, really criminally underrated DC, probably a top 5 DC out there for a top 5 defense with Notre Dame. And it just goes to show you really quick, this is kind of a rant, but it goes to show you that strength of schedule is not the flex that everyone thinks it is. Oh, when people said Notre Dame, Georgia was going to beat Notre Dame, oh, look at their strength of schedule. They didn't play anyone. And even in the first round of the college football playoff, they didn't play anyone. First of all, that's a lie because Indiana did go 11-1, and they did put up a really good season, even if they were very much outmatched by Notre Dame. But all this to say that strength of schedule depends on the team. Indiana was a very good team. They weren't a great team. They weren't an elite team. Notre Dame's a great to elite team. So when you have such a great team with a lot of talent, it doesn't matter who you play. It matters who you are playing. And they played Georgia, and they played them really well. Notre Dame has a really, really good coaching staff, and they have a really talented roster as well. So the strength of schedule argument is something that needs to be brought up in the offseason. And I think I will have a video out on that in the offseason. And just on the game itself, it wasn't very pretty. I mean, everyone who watched will agree with me. It wasn't a pretty game by any means by Notre Dame, but they got it done. Riley Leonard didn't even pass for 100 yards. He passed for 90 yards and a touchdown. And this goes to show that passing yards doesn't mean anything. His QBR was 20 points higher than Gunnar Stockton, even though Leonard didn't even have 100 yards passing. So there's that. But running the ball, they had over 150 yards. Jordan Faison played a really good game, in my opinion, for the 4 receptions that he got. He's a really twitchy athlete, and he can take a hit too. And Jordan Faison is a guy to really watch out for. I said that in my preview, and I will continue to say it. And the defense is just really a top 3 or 4 unit. I put it right there with Texas, Penn State, and Ohio State, who coincidentally are all still in the playoff. You know, it's really funny to see everyone talks about offense, offense, offense. The top 4 defenses in the league are the 4 teams left in the playoff. Who would have thunk it? All right, so Notre Dame sacked Gunnar Stockton 4 times, but they got pressure on seemingly every play, it seemed. And they just did a really good job of gap integrity, sending blitzers in, even without number 99 off the edge, Miles. He missed the game today because of the injury. Even without him, they got a lot of pressure. And you know why they did it? Because of coaching. Al Golden coached those guys up. They ran a lot of different styles. They usually rush 4 straight up, and they're usually able to bully their way to the quarterback. That wasn't the case today. They did a lot of extracurricular stuff. They did a lot of shifting. There was a shift that caused a false start in the game as well. I mean, they did a lot. They had 9 TFLs as a team, 5 passes defended. The touchdown by Jaden Harrison. Obviously, the kick return, which just, it was close. You really thought Georgia still had a chance, 13-3, and then that touchdown to open up the second half happened, and just you never saw it for Georgia. You never saw them coming back. I mean, maybe a chance here and there for them, where you're like, oh, maybe they'll make a run, but you just never got that feeling that Georgia was going to win that game afterwards. And, I mean, just overall mistakes by Georgia, uncharacteristic ones, maybe because you have a backup quarterback in, and maybe because your offensive line isn't as good as it usually is, because their offensive line it was just a lot of pressure from Notre Dame's defensive line on Georgia's quarterback, Gunnar Stockton. A lot of pressure, which really, I think it was one of the main highlights for me in the game. One of the main storylines from coming forward from this game is that Notre Dame bullied Georgia from the defensive line to the offensive line. They bullied Georgia. And that's something that not a lot of people do. All right, that's it for me in this one. Let me know your thoughts down below. I will be having a preview, in-depth preview for both the Notre Dame Penn State game and the Ohio State Texas game. So you do not want to miss that. You do not want to miss the rebrand that will be happening tomorrow. And I will see you guys in the next one.